Hi everyone, I thought I'd make the video today to help discuss what happens when a cruise ship arrives in a port. So this video has inspired me because I was once asked a question by someone who'd never cruised before. When a ship docks in a port, are you allowed to get off when the ship's in port? That question sort of surprised me a bit because to me, in my mind, the whole point of going on a cruise is that the whole point of a ship docking in any destination is so that people can go and visit it. Otherwise, why would a ship just go around just docking at places if people can't get off? It didn't make sense to me. So yes, the answer is yes. When a cruise ship does call into a port, yes, you can indeed get off the ship there. And then another question that people have asked me before is when a ship is in port, and can you only get off the ship if you've booked a shore excursion via the cruise ship? And the answer is when you are docked, you can either do a ship excursion, or if you want to travel independently, you can indeed do that. And I know a lot of people book excursions via local agents that they might have found online or something. So yeah, indeed, when you get off the ship, you can either do an organised excursion through the cruise line, or you can go independently. So I'm going to sort of break down in this video sort of, what all that means and what the implications are on that. And so of course, if the ship's in port, so going back to the original question that I asked at the start of the video, if you don't want to get off the ship when the ship's in port, they don't turf you all out. It's not like going on a cross-channel ferry. So if you do want to just say, if you go to a port, you might have been to that city or destination before, you can indeed just stay on board the ship. Ship's a lot quieter, a lot of the facilities are still open. So yeah, if you just want to have a quiet day by the pool, when the ship's in port, it's a perfect day. You've got plenty of sunbeds and other things to they show films and they do like activities on board, and use all the restaurants, so it's still just the same as a normal day when the ship is in port as when the ship is at sea. So yeah, don't worry about that. With P&O Cruises specifically, when a ship does arrive in port and you do want to go independently, they do in a lot of ports supply a shuttle bus service, because sometimes the port itself can be a bit out of the town, so it's worth looking at. P&O supply the Horizon magazine in your room every night, and so it's worth checking whether that particular port supplies a shuttle bus or not. Now, for those who booked a select fare, the shuttle bus is included in the price of your select fare. However, if you've booked a saver fare for your cruise, then there is a charge. I won't go into the charges because they can vary, I think, between each port, and whenever you're watching this video, those charges may have varied by then anyway. But yeah, which brings me on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is quite a big thing for your cruise, really, and that is the cruise card. I've got an example here of a cruise card that I have taken on, which I have got from a previous cruise that I've been on. So this is basically your key to the whole ship. So all of your spending, it's sort of used like a passport as well, but this literally will do everything on board for your cruise. So it's really important that when you're handed this card, you keep it on you at all times. So you use this card to enter the ship and leave the ship, whether you're in a port. So yeah, if you're a port call, or if you're going on a tender, which is a smaller boat to take you to a shore if the ship can't dock anywhere. But you'll know whether you're on a tender port prior to going on the cruise anyway. So what this does, because with this you're going to be checking yourself in and out every time you leave the ship, it tells the ship's company whether you're on board or not. So we've had stories in the news just in the past week actually of people missing the ship. Well, the reason why the cruise line knows that people missed the ship is because those people didn't check back in on the ship using their card. So it really is a tracking device to tell you where you are. So you just literally zap your card, and it when you go on board the ship, you zap your card, it says welcome. When you leave, it says goodbye. And that's how the cruise owners know whether you're on board the ship or not. If you are going on one of the shuttle buses I mentioned, then these cards get scanned. So a charge will be put onto this card if you're on Saver Fare, and then if you're just on a Select Fare, then there's no charge put onto it because, as I said before, it's included in the price. So this card is also used to do any onboard spending you might do. So, onboard spending, on board, the sort of things that you buy are the drinks, the extra charge restaurants, spas, and the various activities that are on board that are extra. I've done a previous video about what's included in the price. So basically anything that's I didn't talk about in that video, that's what you have to pay extra for. So on board the ship, you don't need to worry about currency, especially on P&O. Everything's in GBP, so pound sterling, and but you don't actually use cash or any currency on board. You use this card to do all your spending. So what will happen is when you go to check in, the check-in team will ask you to register either a credit or a debit card, and then what will happen is at the end of the holiday, they will then take the payment of your final balance of everything that you've wrapped up on this card. They will take the final balance of that, and that will leave your account, whether it's a credit card or a debit card. I recommend using a credit card because if you use a debit card throughout the cruise, they take a holding amount to see whether you've got the money in your account or not. And I know of people who've got into sort of financial trouble because they didn't have enough money in the account when the final balance got taken off. So yeah, I recommend always register when you go to check in that you register with a credit card, not a debit card. And some people also like to, rather than use a debit, you do have to put a debit or a credit card down, but then some people like to use cash to sort of top up their account. So then you can use this card like as a prepaid card. So you can put, I don't know, like £200 into this card and then in cash, and then you can just that's your limit of what you've got to spend. And if you want to put a bit more cash on, you can do that. Or if you just want to just pay your final account with cash at the end, then there is the option to do that as well. But as I said, I've always just used a credit card, so I'm not entirely sure how that all works. So to reiterate, you don't use any cash to spend on board. You just put everything onto this card here. This card is also used to open your cabin door as well. So if you've gone to a hotel, I went to one last week, and you just literally just tap your, either put the card into the machine or you tap it on the door, and it allows you into your cabin. So you can come on the ship with this card, and you can also use it to spend your money and to use it as a key to get into your cabin as well. Obviously on a cruise, most of the time you're going to a foreign port. Most of the time, if you were going to a foreign country on a land-based holiday, you would have to show your passport each time you go to another country. It works a bit differently on a cruise. This card is literally your passport because you have photos on it as well. So when this photo gets scanned by the cruise authorities, it's got your photo. So you can't, I don't know, borrow your husband or your wife's card. This is your card. You've got to keep this with you at all times. However, you do get, I've mentioned previously, the Horizon magazine. So some countries will require you to show a passport. So it's worth checking the Horizon magazine in case that country does require you to have your passport as well as your cruise card as well. But most of the time, all you need to do is just use your cruise card as your ID when entering into that country. So again, it's a bit easier if, going to different places with just your cruise card rather than we will need to take my passport everywhere. But as I said, double check the Horizon magazine whether you do need a passport or not. I do think it's important to talk about also where we're talking about ports of call, to talk about what happens when you arrive if you're starting a cruise in Southampton, and talk about the process of what happens there. So if you're traveling independently, so you plan to arrive in the port either by car or a taxi, then the process for that is, so you enter the sort of cruise dropping off area, The staff there will tell you whether, if you're a taxi, you'll go to a taxi drop-off point, or if you've got pre-arranged car parking arrangements at the port, you'll be directed to them and they will check you in. So once you've left your vehicle, you then get directed to the baggage drop-off point. It's a bit like at an airport where you've just got a baggage drop-off point and there'll be people there to collect your suitcases. So at this point you must make sure that you have your luggage label attached to your luggage and it's got your cabin number on your luggage label, because the next time you're going to see your luggage after you hand it into the luggage staff at the port is in your cabin. So you don't do any lifting of luggage when you're going on a cruise. You just hand it to a porter before you get into the cruise terminal, and the next time you see it, it all gets scanned for security, but the next time you see it will be in your cabin. So it's really important, and make sure you can still bring hand luggage, and make sure whatever you do, make sure your passport is with you and your payment methods as well. And I like to take a change of clothes with me as well, just in case something were to happen to my luggage en route to my cabin. But I've had a delay with my suitcase being delivered till later in the evening, but they've never lost, touch wood, they've never lost any of my luggage so far when I've gone on a cruise. So once you've handed your luggage over, you then get directed to, so when you get your paperwork from P&O before, so everyone who's going on a cruise sort of in the next few days will have had their paperwork telling you your embarkation time. If you've arrived early to your embarkation time, the staff there will then direct you to a queue. Now, what P&O do is they don't allow you in the terminal until it is your time to check in. So what will happen is that you'll be sent to an outside holding area and told to wait in a queue until it is your time. Those who do arrive on time will then get directed straight to the check-in area. Now, what happens is when you go to the check-in area, you need your passport, you need your booking reference, and your method of payment. And then, so what will happen is they'll scan your passport, check that all the details on your booking is correct, and you sometimes get a photo taken for your cruise card, and then they take your payment method and they set up your account, and then you'll get your they will give you a boarding pass. Once you get into your cabin, you'll find your cruise card. It used to be they'd give you your cruise card at a terminal, but that's changed recently. And once you've checked in, you get directed to security. Security works exactly the same as an airport. Don't be worried too much about the small liquid things. It's very different on a cruise to an aeroplane, because the reason why they have the liquid rule on aeroplanes is because they think that you're going to blow up the aeroplane if you're inside. So they try and mitigate that risk. Whereas on a cruise line, where you're going to be with your luggage soon anyway. So if you've got liquids in your hand luggage, don't worry. Obviously, metals when you go through security, belts, things like that still need to be taken off when you go through the scanners. And if you've got like a knee replacement or a hip replacement, or whatever, you need to tell the security staff that's the case. And then once you go through security, straight onto ship, and then your holiday begins. It's that easy. So hopefully that sort of made, oh God, what's going to happen when you get into port a bit easier. If, however, you arrive by coach, it's slightly different. So you, again, if you're traveling on coach, you still get given a embarkation time. But if you're traveling on a coach, ignore the embarkation time you're given, because what will happen is your coach will have organised with the cruise line what time you are due to arrive, and then once your coach arrives at the cruise terminal, you all get off the coach and you get directed straight up to check-in. You hand your luggage over, go straight to check-in and do that whole check-in procedure again. You don't get sent to a queue, to wait out in the rain or anything like that. That's your time. So if it says like your embarkation time is 3:30, but your coach arrives at 2, you'll check in at 2 o'clock. It's all to do with your coach, and the embarkation time is all to sort of manage, thousands of people all boarding the ship within the space of about 3 hours. So it's really important for the cruise lines that everyone abides by the time. So it just helps, check in that much more smoother. And then, yeah, we have to talk about the end of the cruise as well when you arrive in Southampton. So, what's very different about a cruise compared to land-based holidays is that have you have to hand in your luggage on the day before you go home. So you have to pack a bit earlier to go home. You will be given leaving instructions a few days before the end of the cruise from P&O, and they will tell you what your disembarkation time is, and they'll give you your luggage labels for getting off the ship as well. So what happens is you pack up your luggage, you put your tag on, you leave your suitcase outside of your cabin the night before. All the porters take your suitcases away, and then the next time you'll see your suitcase will be in a storage room in the cruise terminal. When you come off the ship the next morning on the time that they give you to come off, you just go to that to the holding area, pick up your luggage and walk off. They do have customs at the other end, so if you've got anything to declare, that's your time to do that. But yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, some people don't want to do that. Say if you've got, I don't know, you need to get a flight at 8 in the morning or something like that, so it's really important that you get off in your time rather than when the cruise lines tell you to get off. So you can do self-disembarkation. That normally starts from 7 a.m. The ship normally docks about 6:30, so really 7 a.m. is about the earliest they can let you off anyway. And so if you've got a train or a plane or something like that you need to get off, you can get off the ship yourself at 7 a.m. but you need to take your own luggage off yourself. You don't hand your luggage off to the ship's company the night before. You keep your luggage with you all night, the night before the ship docks, and you take it off yourself. So as I said, that's from 7 a.m. So I'm hoping that these tips will help you sort of get a feel and an idea about what happens when the ship's in port. It's just one of those sort of questions that I think if you've not cruised before, it's not always obvious. So yeah, hopefully it's useful, and thank you for watching.